everyone, and welcome back to another World of Tanks console video. My name is Zach, and welcome to part 4 of my World of Tanks console celebration for their 4th year of World of Tanks. And it's interestingly, I couldn't end this on part 4, but we'll try to cover as much as possible. And if I do manage to get it in 4, well then, congrats to them, or congrats to me. Yeah, congrats to me for getting through all in 4 parts exactly. So we move into the third part of the console, cover roundup or highlights that I enjoy from World of Tanks console over the past years, and quite a bit of tabs I ended up having to go through. But again, part 4, we're getting there, and this time we focus on the 3rd anniversary of World of Tanks console, last year's last year's event. Sorry, cut out my mic for a second because I was about to play the video. Well, let's enjoy this last year's anniversary video. Yeah, I love their trailers every time because it always gets more hype than epic, but it's never the same way in game, people. Um, Again, moving on. We actually had on their 3rd anniversary. We didn't get anything on the 2nd anniversary, by the way. I felt a little bit robbed for that one. On their for the 2nd anniversary, I believe they introduced it. No, that was 3rd year. For the 3rd anniversary, they went all out and gave us another Tier 2 premium tank, which was the Rezeni BT7A. Is it? No, that's a Tier 3. Let's double check that. Eat my words, it's Tier 3. Cost 1 gold. It's always fun to watch those. So it basically, going over all again the statistics of World of Tanks as a whole throughout the year, growing from the small community that started in year 1. Now we were in year 3. It was a great time. The War Games and War Party op basically combined in that year. We got the same thing for World of Tanks console in the 4th year. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that right now. I ended up going through most of that. Those times 5 experience just gave me a bunch of experience right now. Chinese tank destroyers, not interested. Skipping over that. If you watch any of my videos, you should know what tanks I'm gonna be grinding for towards next year. They also decided to bring back again the KV5 that hadn't been sold in quite a while, the standard KV5 and the 105 Le Fer. That is a Jingles reference, people. Please tell me you at least watched that part. Again, going through all the stats of World of Tanks, this time including World of Tanks PlayStation. I believe in their 2nd one they did that as well, because it had already been on there for a year when the PlayStation 4 had released. So not too bad either way. Over 11 million registered players. Now they said registered. That doesn't mean you play. That just means you were a registered World of Tanks console player. You played at least. You signed into the game at least once, and that made you a sucker for keeping into the game, people. Come on. Going over again all the statistics. Average of 96 minutes of play session per player per day. I kind of put those numbers to shame, actually. That makes me feel like a super player at that point. Yeah, that's like way below my average, to be honest. What is that in 60? That's an hour and 36 minutes? Yeah, about an hour and 36 minutes. Yeah, I put those numbers to shame. I wonder what the average player is this year. Maybe I should go look at that. Nah. Anyway, moving on. We definitely had a blast of a time going through all the statistics, and the War Games and War Party ops were definitely where if you have it this year, you earn a certain number of experience. and depending on what you did in the wargaming war games, the war party, or depending on what you did in the war party, or depending on what you did in war games, you would then apply a stackable experience boost, same as this year in the war party event. And I was enjoying the hell out of this because, sorry again for saying hell, apologies, but I was enjoying this over the last weekend because I got to play it for the anniversary, as well as right currently, just enjoying the war party event in general. Just the extra times 3 experience boost is a massive jump in experience for most of my tanks, and it was great just to play through. War Brother. Available only on first win. Bonus must be in a platoon, which was a great incentive for you to be able to stick around with your mates. If they manage to stick around with you throughout World of Tanks, then congrats, you're buds for life at this point. As actually most of the friends that I currently play with, if you know Zero F115, who's my clanmate, my brother Revival Gems, Z, Slayer Potatoes, are pretty much the guys I started playing World of Tanks with on in the first year, and we've actually stuck around, become very close friends if they consider me that. Hopefully, you guys do. But it was great to see the third year we were getting some very cool and interesting tanks coming back into the event pool. But this wasn't really where I wanted. I wasn't looking forward to this because we had gotten some updates as far as the tanks go. We finally had another nation joining the ranks of World of Tanks. We had the Russians, the British, the German, the American, I think at that time the French, and after the French tanks, the Chinese tanks were in the game. Yep. The Chinese were in the game. Came the Czechoslovakian tanks. Again, I always love their videos. It's always interesting to watch. The Skoda T50 and the TVP T50/51. The Czechoslovakian line brought with me my most awaited tanks because I had known about this tank a few months prior because of watching Quickie Baby and his videos. But I was expecting this tank, and I so enjoyed playing this. This is my current favorite tank in the game, and I can honestly say that because this tank has definitely been precious. In its unnerfed state currently, and suspiciously around ranked battles, I should say, the tier 10 and the tier 9 and 10, the Skoda T50 and the TVP T50/51, had a slight nerf to their reload. How dare you ruin my favorite tank? And but the Czechoslovakian line was out. It was a great thing. I'd honestly been waiting this tank. 4 round 100mm autoloader gun just interested me more than the Bat Chat. At this point, the Bat Chat was basically becoming kind of, no, it still is pretty much a brawler in every sense of that word. When it singles you out, it's pretty much able to take out most tier 9s in pretty much a clip. It's one of those fearsome tanks. Well, the TVP was basically the yin to its yang, as it was able to basically combat the Bat Chat to a certain extent. I won't say it's able to take out every time, but to a certain extent, it definitely introduced another tier 10 medium tank autoloading, which I believe that those two are the only tier 10 autoloaders that are medium tanks. I'm thinking. I'm trying to make sure. because people always make me eat my words on that point. Let's go anyway. Not that I can remember. Those are the only ones I can currently think of at the recording of this video. Introducing that, we also had the premium Zizka. Is that how you say it? I know Rabot01 said this, but I honestly just call it the Zizka. That's not the correct pronunciation, but, you know, it was introduced. Moving on, though, on the 17th of February, we got, and it's actually coming back, people. If you didn't know, the following up is coming back this year. Just wanted to point that out because we are going over it. The hardest, most RNG-based Urnop in the game, which made this tank one of the most hated Urnops, or I won't say the tank, the op itself, one of the most hated in the games. The Defender of the Motherland, or Defender of the Fatherland. I saw Fatherland and I still read Motherland. I don't know why. The IS-3 Auto in its Russian biased levels of camo ratings. Let's check out the video. Screamed Soviet biased, I honestly swear. The Fatherland IS-3A, another hero skinned version and console exclusive. I should say console exclusive skinned tank, because the tank does exist on PC, but it's just the IS-3 Auto. Not an auto loader, by the way. It's just it has an auto loading mechanism, I believe, in the for the gun, so it just reloads slightly faster. I believe that was the case. Don't fact check me, please. So the IS-3A Fatherland was the pretty much hands down the hardest Urnop in the game to date, because this op pretty much led around RNG. That was pretty much it. To earn the Fatherland medals via the Defend the Fatherland op, you'll need to deal 500 direct damage in a multiplayer. I thought I said multiplayer for a second. Multiplayer battle. Tracking assisted damage does not count in Soviet vehicles tier 3 or higher. To receive a loot drop. Loot drops can contain silver or experience, crew experience, or if you're lucky, a coveted Fatherland medal. I don't believe the current Fatherland op has been released yet, but last year's was definitely one of the interesting Urnops that they had done. Heavily RNG based, because you don't know what it was in a loot drop, for one. Along with, you could play one game, or you can play 5 games and get, as if there was one person in this game, honestly, that literally got that one right after the other in the tank. Please give that person medals, like a real life medal, for getting that is straight RNG based and you managed to break the system. If you had this one battle right after the other, hands down to you, sir. You are a god. The most medals I earned in a row was 3, which was the most, again, randomest of games. I basically gave up on every other nation and had to grind Soviet tanks, which I wasn't very fond of during this time. And if you don't know, if you haven't watched any of my previous videos, the Fatherland really, I earned the tank by some miracle. But it's, to me, the tank hates me. I can't drive it. I have more luck currently driving the Defender than I do the Fatherland, because the Defender is an honestly better tank. But just just saying that the IS-3A wasn't really fond of me to begin with, and this definitely did have a backlash in the community, as it kind of created that heavy RNG based type of system, where in an earn op of all things, where you had to stick to a specific nation, you were tied to a specific nation in order to earn the tank, and you had to deal a specific amount of damage. Now, a specific amount of damage isn't too significant, but it was tied to using a specific nation compared to any of the other previous ops where you could use any tank to earn any of the tanks in the earn op, or any nation, any nation, any tank. In this one, you could use any tank that was tier 3 and higher, but it had to be Russian. And just the op itself just didn't feel to when I earned the tank, when I finally got the final medal and I earned the tank, I felt honestly like it didn't feel as great as it did to earn any of the other tanks. This was my least favorite earn op in the game, and that's competing against that Centennial op, which again, I became a monster grinder throughout that op just to gain the 300 points of significance to grind through it. But this op definitely was my least favorite op that World of Tanks console has ever done, and this is being covered in a video that I love about World of Tanks console. That's not to downplay the Fatherland itself. I like the way the tank looks. It's a great looking tank. It looks better to me than the Motherland, which, the Motherland, the Fatherland, they were sold as a bundle that year, but definitely love the way this tank looks, and it definitely. Currently, I can hands down say that most of the PC players that could drop by my stream and come and watch, I go through some of the World of Tanks console skins that we have, and it definitely makes them a little bit jealous, as the community, or the type of players that play that compared to the console players and purchasing tanks and stuff. We definitely have more console players purchasing these tanks, which is why there'll never be an end to them. The community it might be split on it, but there's more people in that sense that love these tanks because they're unique compared to those that like these standard tanks. That's not to say you can't get either of them. They'd basically gone around, the way you would do it is, or the way they had originally planned was, you release a hero tank such as the Fatherland IS-3A, and a month later you would release the standard tank, the IS-3A, in its non-hero skin version. They didn't manage to keep that scheduling just because of the events that were going on at the time. They tried to do, a cool event per month, or every so often, that they weren't able to keep the constant release of the standard variants of the tank, so it had to be released in such an offset manner that it definitely had a big impact on the amount of people that just got the tank. And one of the things with their earn ops that I'm not really favorable about is that, well, if you don't like the grind, you just purchase the tank. It doesn't feel as fun. That's definitely one of the downsides to it, but again, you get to earn yourself a free tier 8 tank. No sweat off my back to just grind through it. Moving on, and trying to get through these earn ops, was the earn op, the American Dream Machines. This introduced one of, I believe there's quite a few of these, the biggest earn op that we had in the game, where you, again, going along a point system, but this time not basing around damage dealt. It was just top XP earners in your game, that would get points added to their op, and this basically became one of the final criteria for most of the earn ops that we currently have going on, or any of the earn ops that we currently have going on, which is just to be in the top 5 XP earners of your game, and you can earn yourself points. That's pretty much how it goes. This was basically the start of one of the biggest earn ops that console had ever done, where you start from tier 1 of an earn op, earn 15 points, to earning Drop Juliet, a 1,000 points worth of grinding. Keep in mind that's 1,000 points, and that's if you can get 5 points every game for every win, being the top XP earner in every game you play. 1,000 points to basically earn a 15 times 4 experience boost, 7 days of premium, or a T95E2 Tier 8 Premium medium tank, or its silver equivalent. The significance behind it was you don't only have a chance to earn a free Tier 8 tank. You had a chance to earn a Tier 3 tank, a Tier 4, Tier 5 tank, a Tier 7 tank, a Tier 8 tank, and a Tier 8 medium tank. Brazilian Bulldog is still one of the rarer ones. I think it's on sale currently with the release of this video. I don't know if I want to purchase it because I'm gonna be I'm thinking of purchasing some more tanks, but who knows. But this was one of the biggest earn-ups that we had, and this one focused around the Americans. They had, I believe, again, I don't know if I have any of the other tabs remaining, the French ones that let you go through the French tanks. I ended up getting I believe in this one I skipped out on all of them, and because I wasn't able to play as much, grinded out all the way to the Drop Juliet for 1,000 points, claimed the T95E2, and I was able to get up to Drop 6, which was 350 points again, and had to fall out because I couldn't grind past the 350 points and just claim the 7 days of premium and 6 crew experience bonus. But again, it was one of the biggest ops console had ever done, and to be able to earn the chance to even earn that many tanks was definitely of significance. And I noticed Patriot down here, but then I was like, we didn't have the Patriot that was just released this year, and it's talking about the Patriots medal that was released for the American Predators, which was basically destroy 500 or more enemies in any number of battles. You earn yourself a medal along with 3 x 3 experience boosts. So it was a cool looking medal. I believe I did earn this as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did start doing a little bit bigger or more heftier bundles. The Fury, of course, being sold, the Brazilian Bulldog, the Bright Stars, the Shermans. It was definitely an interesting event to go through. I only had the T95E2, and again, I wasn't able to get through enough points to grind through all of those. Moving on, we have the Bogatyr KV220-2. The tier, what is this, tier 5 KV1. You know what? Did we even cover the... I'm just going through this. No, I did not. I missed an event. That's what it was. Prior to this, I believe we had the captured KV1, but I believe that wasn't an earn-up, that was sold. The Bogatyr was basically a grind, again, for another earn-up. Again, finalizing around the Iron... Against its... as an earn-up compared to the captured KV1. That's what it was. The captured KV1 was sold. Anyway, the Bogatyr was another earn-up again, going around the experience of point bonus. However, this time, if you managed to earn the tier 6 tank, you got another legendary skill, the Iron Mace skill. Let me see if I can find out what the... Okay, here we go. The Iron Mace, which increases your shell's chance to retain its penetration value over distance. Now, if you don't know, shell penetration drops the further away the target is, and then that all starts dropping into the RNG of whether or not your shell lost enough penetration to not penetrate, or if it maintained it to be able to penetrate. It still does lose, it just doesn't lose as much. I believe is what it was when someone clarified this, because they had a debate about this on the forums. This basically became one of the topics for one of those forums that's like, is this an overpowered skill? Because that means that APCR, even they have the highest penetration, but the highest drop off in penetration value over distance. Would this affect APCR? And considering the Bogatyr's premium rounds were APCR, this was a legitimate question. Which I want to say Max Chaos 24 answered, which was basically it does still lose penetration. It just does not lose a significant amount of penetration that it normally would. So that helped clear up a little bit of the confusion with, is it an overpowered skill? In general, it kind of was, or the premise of it, if they didn't have it balanced fairly well. But going along that, you still had to complete the amount of points for the Bogatir, going through 6 tiers of grinding or earn ops to get to the Bogatir, along with the skill. And this one was a little bit better because they offered it compared to the Boilermaker. I believe in the earn op you couldn't earn it; you had to purchase it to get the last stand skill. In this one, you basically got the skill with the earned crew, which was a lot better. The Bogateers, I earned most of their tanks that they released, and at this point, I grinded this game. At this point in 2017, I had basically become an pretty much dedicated player at that point. As World Tanks had become 80% of the game, or the 80% of my games played. I stopped playing most of my other tanks, or most of my other games. I wasn't really enjoying them, and I just started focusing all on World of Tanks. Whether or not that's a good thing or not, I did still take periodic breaks, as I currently do the same, just to make sure I don't kill myself on the amount of tanks I played. But it was definitely one of the more heavier years, or last year was definitely around that time that I pretty much became an invested player into World of Tanks, where I tried to start covering more more World of Tanks console content. I didn't post a lot on my YouTube as I still didn't have the resources at that time. And I believe towards the end of the year, I ended up purchasing my current computer. Um, I want to say it was September of last year that I purchased my computer, and I pretty much started focusing on improving the quality of life of my YouTube channel as well as my streaming content. And I finally got around one of the closer things, but let's keep this focused on World of Tanks console. So, one of, again, another console exclusive tank is the Canadian Frostbite Grizzly M4. So, well, oh, wow, I don't know what happened there. So, World of Tanks console actually decided to create a console exclusive M4, specifically designated to the Canadians. For those Canadian players that had actually submitted this, congrats to you. You actually got a console exclusive tank into the game. I'm happy for that. The Frostbite Grizzly M4 is a tier 5 premium tank. It wasn't an earnable tank. It was a sold tank. There was no earn up around it. Sold inside the store. You could purchase this, and I know quite a few players actually bought this tank. Um, it's always good to see that they took the ideas from the community itself and incorporated that into the game. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble there getting. Anyway, it's always good for that. It really is for any game developer to take ideas from their community and incorporate them into the game is always a great thing to happen. And I was actually a little bit. It was interesting to see the level of feedback that they got about this tank and requests. So for them to respond in kindness by introducing it was definitely a great feature for them as well as the community to enjoy. Moving on, we have the introduction in the 20th of August to the War Stories mode, new campaign expansion, and storyteller bundles. War Stories is a experience like no other. Will be unleashed in World Tanks for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox 360 on August 22nd. War Stories is an immersive new story-driven campaign where you can hone your battles on skills in thrilling scenarios, relive famous historical events, and even rewrite history as you embark on alternative history campaigns. Now, War Stories was a PvE mode introduced into World of Tanks and is a first for World of Tanks, as I don't consider Proving Grounds, PvE, although it kind of is. Some of the stuff you do in there, just the bots in there are just hilarious to go against, for one thing. But PvE, to actually experience, significant history, um, in the game, is definitely one thing to enjoy, and that came along with this. Sorry, I keep cutting on my mic because I want it. It came along with this release.
A single day can change everything. One fall day in 1940, we knew Britain was impregnable, protected by the sea, and defended by brave souls on every clifftop. 24 hours later, all we could do was watch as the German forces took the coast and drove their tanks into the heart of the nation. When the blockade began in 1948, we thought the people of West Berlin would be safe. But the Soviets had other ideas. One December day is all it took for the fragile peace to shatter. And once again, the streets were filled with war and death. In 1962, we thought the Cuban Missile Crisis was a bluff. It was bravado, playground bullies flexing their muscles. No one would ever push the button. Then one day in October that year, someone did push it. An island paradise was turned into the epicenter of all-out thermonuclear war, threatening our very existence. These are our stories. Now, it's your turn.
I love their I love their videos. It really just puts a heavy impact. Feels like a Michael Bay movie. War Stories was a great addition to World of Tanks. Whether PC is ever going to introduce that, I kind of doubt it. It feels like a console exclusive game mode, introducing some story, or some historical elements into it, and just a what if scenario around it was just an overall great addition. However, the same cannot be said for some of their bots, as they're still kind of laughable in that sense. But you can experience these game modes for free. It was a free addition to World of Tanks, just like any of the other content they released, which was again unheard of. Most people thought this was going to be like a paid edition, when they had originally made a stir about it, but no, it was a free game mode. Um, and I've played them. I've played two of the War Stories. I played their challenge modes. They're fun. They're engaging. Repetitive, I won't. I'm not too sure of. They're definitely a great experience. Or five times at most. If you played any more than five, you just feel like you're just toying with it at that point. Which was still a great addition. Each of the War Stories, you had Brothers in Armor, the original one that was released, Flashpoint Berlin, Operation Sea Lion, and Operation Kennedy's War. I think that's four War Stories, and then the fifth one is the Captured Tiger, if I remember right. That's still released, and if you want to experience the World of Tanks War Stories, just simply download the game, jump into the War Stories game mode, and enjoy the game yourself. Critique it how you will, but the game mode itself is a great addition. You can either do these single, or as a solo player, or tag along with one other friend into the game mode. Still a great all-around improvement for a free-to-play game. Finally, we get down to the final earn-up. Um, everything after this point I have covered on my channel. August 30th, 2017. I've pretty much covered every event after this, but this was the last earn-up that gave us a exclusive tank, I believe. Yeah, pretty much. The Honor T-28E with the F-30. Along with, if you notice the part there, Fighting Girlfriend, which was the tank I actually covered on here. You can go and check out that video. It's a very interesting video to say the least. But focusing on the Honor T-28E, we've had other earn ops after this. However, this was the last time we've earned a singular tank in an earn op. So far that I remember, which was basically just grind out a bunch of experience in different ranked mode or different ranked tiers of play with that, and culminating in, what was it, 100, 175, 200,000, 250,000, 285,000, 295,000, almost 300,000 experience grinded out in the course of 2 weeks. It was definitely something to play, and it is a pretty cool looking tank actually. Does this scroll sideways? Nope, it doesn't. Along with the Fighting Girlfriend, based off of the Maria Ostrabskaya, female commander, known for her heroic ventures in her tank. It's a very interesting story. I highly recommend, if you don't know the story behind the Fighting Girlfriend, just to Google it. It was a very cool story about a woman who decided to drive her own tank. Any other details, you guys can check it out on Google search. Just go ahead, feel free to check out the time. Fighting Girlfriend tank again is actually on my channel in the tank review sections. I didn't cover any of the HMH bundles in this. Again, Super Burt is definitely one of those things I should have covered, but I've covered all the tank reviews of any other tanks that were released. You can check out the tank review section. They have a plethora of tank reviews in there, and you can kind of see the progress of my channel or growth in the way I go about that stuff. But again, not bad. It was a great all around stuff. Content released. Why can't I scroll upwards? August 30th, 2017 was again when I started to dive a little bit deeper into getting my own computer, making the investment into creating content for my YouTube channel as a whole, and becoming entirely invested in World of Tanks. One of the reasons I cover World of Tanks console is, if you again haven't watched that Azino Zat story that is currently on the main focus on the channel when you first visit, is because when it comes to World of Tanks console, there's very few players that cover a lot of console content. Nobody, I think, in depth, as in depth as some of the stuff that I cover. If there is, no offense to you, it's just as far as my own experience. But all around, just the enjoyable, fun or content I could create for you guys. It's a hobby, and it's enjoyable to me to be able to give you guys information on console events or console tanks for you guys to enjoy that are console players. Now, whether you're a PC player and still watch my content, there's no fuss about it. Thank you for enjoying the content. I know a lot of PC players that watch my streams become interested in the type of tanks that we get on console, more exclusively the King Dragon Type 59. More on that video when that comes out. I'm going to try to have that out before the weekend is out so you guys can get more info on it. Based off the Type 59G that you see on my channel. Maybe I should update this and put the Type 59 or the King Dragon on top of it, but nah, I would just ruin the gold on that tank. Premium, man. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this series, and let me know if you guys enjoyed World of Tanks console as much as I have over the past 4 years. This video, of course, is going to be longer than any of the other parts in the series, but it's been a very cool event. And again, if you haven't seen the video I did for Wargaming for their 4th year anniversary, if you manage to scroll over to this channel via the link that I left on their video that I submitted for them, as a whole, I enjoy this game way too much, and as a player, it's been such a great ride just to experience the the slow, development of this game over the past 4 years. And I genuinely look forward to the release of content that you guys have planned in the future. It's an enjoyable game. And for those of you guys who are out there who don't enjoy the game, but always find a reason to hate on it, it's not because, hey, I'm trying to tell you guys get God or get good, anything like that. It's if you don't enjoy a game, put it down. There's plenty of other choices that you guys could choose from, but don't ruin the game or the community as a whole for those of us who enjoy the game itself. That's not me trying to suck up to wargaming or trying to lie to you guys. That is just a general or an honest opinion from a player who has had time invested into the game, or for myself that enjoys the game that much to where I have my own opinion. And again, you guys are entitled to that yourselves. Just don't ruin a community over something that you don't enjoy. I've seen plenty of players just walk away from it and enjoy playing different games. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. World of Tanks console is definitely one of those games that I hope sticks around for many years, that we can continue enjoying it as a community. Again, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below. And if you're those few players that don't like anything I'm saying or the sound of my voice, as I remember that comment that I had originally read, there's not much I can do to change that. That's the voice I have with this microphone, of course. I haven't upgraded to any of the new sound equipment in this place. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the content that I produce. Please check out any of the other videos on my channel. If you're new to World of Tanks console, I highly suggest just going through the tank reviews, getting some statistics off these tanks. They are going to be very similar to that of Quickie Baby, as most of my stuff tends to be kind of similar to his. I try to do a slight mixture between his content and some of the witty takes from Jingles. That's not to say I'm trying to rip them off. That's just to say I enjoy the way they do content, and I know a lot of players do as well. And having a similar feature from PC to console just makes it a little bit easier for those players who are trying to understand console content over PC content. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that, and I'll catch you guys in the next time. Have a good day.